Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it's Wednesday. It's March 3rd. This will be our chart lesson for today, and it was all downhill today. There's really two legs down. You got the big long orange leg here, and then you just got a copy of it here. You can see we started the second leg down, but there were two legs in this first leg, and there's leg number one and leg number two, and we didn't quite make that one. Actually, we did. It came a little later in this second leg, and you can see we corrected from there, and then we started this last leg down. But notice we got that two measured legs by the close. Actually, this is just, we dropped that last little bit right at the close, but look where we bounced. Perfect measured move. So pretty interesting, but it was you really couldn't find this blue uh, channel until later in the day. So it didn't help you much until the afternoon, after lunchtime, really. So you were better off early on playing this spike and channel down, and then playing these shorter term channels here until after lunch when you really got this trend line confirmed here. And then it was pretty obvious, hey, look for a measured leg down and see what happens, and that's what we got, a perfect measured leg. So, but there's a clear two-tiered channel here with the blue channel, but again, you couldn't really find that until it got confirmed after lunch. I mean, really, it got confirmed a little before lunch, but I wasn't real confident in it until after lunch because we're still in this little channel working up here when all this goes on. But when we came back here and turned down, and then you can see we turned down twice more off of it later in the after 2 o'clock. So really, it's all downhill except for this slight correction here. And what happens is you got to figure that on this correction, that if we turn down and start trending down again, that there's probably going to be another leg down. And that's what you're going to be looking for. Of course, you want to be careful when you get to this level right here, but notice how we went on through. And so once it's obvious we're trending down again here, look for that measured leg compared to this first move down. And that would have got you a perfect target down here. So you could have stayed in this all the way till 3 o'clock or whatever, whenever your broker kicks you out. So lots of trades today. It'll take me a few minutes to go through these, so I'm going to get to working on them. Let's back out. Let's zoom out here and talk about these trades, or zoom in, however you want to look at it. I guess you would call this zooming in. I always say it backwards, but to me, I feel like I'm zooming out. But yeah, we're zooming in here. So not to confuse anybody. But anyway, early on you were playing this real tight channel here, and you had an overshoot, which normally it's not going to be very long till you get a break. And that overshoot comes 7 o'clock, really came way back here, but there's just no setups yet. You don't want to be entering short on a first entry this far away from the EMA, even if it is a key entry point. So just sit tight and wait. And notice you get your break here. And somebody asked me about this short right here. I believe it was this short. And they got burned on it. They went short right here. But draw this trend channel line, and you can clearly see it working up there. And then you get a close outside, a new high, and then you turn down. So you got to be aware of that. And even here, you're probably better off waiting on the lower high, because sometimes you'll get one more push up like you did here, but sometimes it'll make another tick higher and you get stopped out. In this case, it didn't. But notice you got a first entry, second entry. That one fails. It's pretty clear not to go short there. It is off the EMA. It doesn't look like two legs, though. This looks a little congestive, and then a leg up. And so there's a good chance you're going to get another leg up. Don't be trying to go long yet, though. Just sit and wait. And then you get a close outside, a move to a new high, and now you got two clear legs up. I like going short there. And the better trade is really to wait on the lower high, but sometimes you don't get a lower high and you miss these trades. So, you know, this one's real close to being green, where this is a solid red here. That's the way I look at it. And then we got another second entry, which I forgot to mark here for some reason. I like that one. You don't really have this. It's not, This looks almost like a repeat pattern. So again, this is one you normally would probably wait on. However, I like this one just simply because it's a triple test. Let me draw. You see that support line coming across there. And you came up, you made the high, you test it once, you test it twice. It is a second entry short. For that reason, I like it. And it does break higher and turn and go down. And it makes, notice your low there, 60.75. And your low there is 60.75. So it makes a little 2-bar matching low. So you can't trade this as engulfing. You got to trade this as putting a sell stop. And notice how it gaps over. So I think it would have come back and filled you. So it just depends on how you played it. If you tried to use a limit order, you probably couldn't get in. If you tried to drop the limit order anywhere further back to make sure you had a little more room. But I liked it just because it's a double top, or I'm sorry, a double test of a triple top. But it's a quick, easy scalp. And again, the only reason you take this one, because this almost looks like a repeat of this. The only reason you take this one is because of the triple test. Without that, I'd skip this trade. And now that this is all played out and you got a new low in place, and this bounces early, that's a failed second entry. Technically, that's not a failure, but it looks like one. I didn't like trading it long because all of a sudden you get these sideways bars. It looks a little congestive, but when it ticks lower again there and turns up and goes out the other side, I like going long there, but you got to have enough room to get out. So you may have to use a limit order. You either have to enter one tick above this bar, or you have to drop a limit order back in here a tick or two. And you would have got filled on it several ticks back in actually, and gave you plenty of room to get out. It didn't matter. It kept going higher. You might have even entered here. Technically, this is not a failed second entry short, but you got 3 tries to go lower that fail, and this actually broke higher first and turned down, and then it turns right back up. The problem is you got this resistance here, and you're still along these highs as you see. So I'd just leave it alone. I think you're better off to leave it alone. Although, you know, you could argue for it. It's one you could argue to be green. Your entry would be 1 tick above the green bar, but your safety stop has to go down here. So just something to think about. But I think I would skip that trade. And prices run on up, and then we turn back down here again. Unfortunately, you just don't get a good entry. This is really you get this real tight channel, but you just don't get an entry here. And then you're just kind of working sideways, and you drop down, and you're working sideways, and there's just no entries here. But finally, we come back up, and we confirm this trend line. This one is real tempting, but you've got this channel working up, and you don't really have a close outside till here. So just sit tight. You make a new high, and then you make a lower high here. And that, look how many times you tested that trend line. That's a nice bearish bar. There is some support there, but that confirms this yellow trend channel. Really, it was pretty obvious already here because look at your midline, how it's fitting. But this confirms it, and you get this lower high. I like going short there, and look at it go, boom. Because this is probably going to trap some longs here, people thinking they're getting a reversal. And look at this thing go. And you make a new low, first entry, second entry, but your signal bar is not good. But then you try to break higher and fail and turn back down. I like playing this one. I should have probably marked this green. I like playing this one only when this engulfing bar broke lower. Drop a limit order far enough where you can get out before these lows, because that's a concern. It wouldn't have mattered. It went on down, but you don't know that it's going to do that. So the only reason, yeah, I'm going to change that one to green just so it's not confusing to people. I really think it should be green anyway. But now you got your lower high, and you just don't have much room there. So the only really way you can trade this one is to let it break lower here and then drop a limit order and see if it would have come back. And it would have come back right here all the way back up in here, 2 or 3, 4 ticks, and then that gives you plenty of room to get out. And it doesn't matter, it drops way on down, and then it bounces. And we're still working lower, but I just don't see any entries here. I don't see anything that this one you could. It looks like a lower high. It's really not, because you're still making the same. There's a 2-bar matching high, but it needs to break higher before that's considered a lower high. Even though it's a nice signal bar, I would just wait. And it's just too late to be entering down here. And then we bounce again. And again, you don't really want to go long here. There is a second entry long. Notice that first entry, and then it turns down, it comes back. There's a second entry long there, but I don't think you want to trade that. There's a reversal here. Again, I don't think you want to go short yet. This does look like it's working higher, and it does look like a break in a new high, but this is right off the midline. I would at least wait on a lower high or something to be sure, and you just don't get it. And it continues higher. And you come down, you make a lower high here, but not a very good signal bar. And just as you would expect, prices are trying to go back to this trend line. And it takes them a little bit to get there, but you can see that they do indeed end up making it back. And so you really got 2 legs up here. Leg 1 and leg 2. And so when prices get back up here, notice this is working up, and then you get a close outside, 2 legs up, nice signal bar. They do have matching highs, so you can use that for signal bar. And even though that's not a second entry short, it's 2 legs back to the trend line after a break of this channel. So I like that one. There's a lower high here, but not a very good signal bar. And then you get a failed second entry long that again turns down right off the key entry point. I like if it breaks lower there, it's going to be good for a scalp, and probably going to push on down, or you would think it would push on down, but it doesn't. We just reverse here. And now you get your first break outside, and you get a lower high right here. And again, it looks like a second entry. It looks almost like a repeat of this. So I like going short there, and then it's obvious we're just going sideways. And you don't want to go long yet, and I don't see anything else here you can take for short. And just in case somebody asks, there is a trend channel here, and you get a close outside, then a new high, and then a lower high, and then it's a perfect repeat pattern of this move, and then the second 2 legs. The only thing is it doesn't go higher, but it's still the same, basically the same pattern. You move up, you get a break, 2 legs, and then down, and then we're just in this trading range. Nothing there that I would want to trade. We jump up, and we really just go into a higher trading range, like so, and you fell out the top. This one is tempting, but I would say wait on a lower high to be sure, and you just don't get it, because you see how we just start going sideways, and then it jumps up again, and you don't really get a chance to trade this coming down. Originally I played this like, well, like a little spike and channel, and I think it still is, but if you drag this up, it still fits pretty well. But this is how I originally played it, a little spike and channel down, then you get a break and you low, and you actually get an overshoot, and it bounces right off that key entry point. So you may take that. There's actually 2 legs down there as well, and they're basically a perfect measured move. So I like going long there just to try to ride it back to the EMA and off that key entry point. And notice the overshoot, the break, the overshoot. A lot of times, so much room. Look at all the room back to the EMA. Remember that EMA is like a magnet. When prices get away from it, they pull it back to it. And when they get to it, they repel it. So you get pushes both ways. When you're swinging back and forth above and below, then it's usually indication that you're in a sideways or a weak trend. So, but this EMA is still pointing up, and even though we keep pushing below, the fact that it's going back and forth above and below tells you, hey, this is probably not a new trend up. This is probably just a correction in a bigger downtrend. And so just be on the lookout for that. And you can see it's not very long till it turns down and off we go down again. But anyway, you might take that trade right there. It's aggressive, but look at that key entry point. We've proven that key entry point. Look how far we are away from the EMA. There's 2 measured legs down, and if you catch this right, look at the payoff. Boom, and you can ride that all the way up. And here that pattern is again. You're moving up, you get a break, move to a new high, and it turns down. I didn't mark that one. It's one you might say you might argue is green because it's been a repeat pattern. There is a lower high here, but it's just so congestive. I didn't like it. Let me draw that little channel there. You can see that. But notice you get a failed second entry long that confirms that trend line, and it's like a little breakout pullback. This next bar being an inside bar makes you kind of wonder, but when it couldn't get back inside, if it breaks lower there, you're probably going to get at least a scalp. We're probably coming back to here at a minimum. And if this blue channel, which you should have drawn, is correct, we may be going much lower. It's good for a scalp, not much more. And you get another chance to go long here. And so that's another one. It's the same thing. It's kind of a repeat pattern of this as well. I didn't mark it because you got this channel working down. You do have a close outside and a new low, but you don't. And you got a little bit of an overshoot here, but it's not quite as much. It's like a repeat pattern. So if you wanted to try to take that one, you could. It's another one you could mark green. Again, just with the expectation you ride it back, and it might take off like this one, which it kind of does. But it doesn't even get back to the blue line. Then you're making a lower high. I don't think you want to go short there yet. And you just don't really get a chance to enter this one. Again, you're going sideways here. So there's just not much way to trade that. You got to go short at the low here, and you see what happens. And you don't want to go long again, because now you're working down. This is the first break, but notice what happens. You get a new low, first entry, second entry, way away from the EMA. I like going short there. Treat it like a failed breakout on the second entry short. You might wait on a lower high, but you don't get one. So if you don't take that one, you're out of luck. Then it's just back in the range again. There's a failed break lower here, but there's just too much down action here. I don't think you want to try to risk a long there. It would have been a nice trade, most likely. You probably wouldn't have got a runner anyway, but then you come up, and there's that same repeat pattern again. You're coming up, you get a close outside, it makes a new high. I didn't mark this one green just simply because it looks congested. There's 3 or more bars there before this breaks lower, and one of them has no body. That's congestion. Wait on something better. You get a lower high here, but I don't think you want to take that one either. But when it tries to go higher a third time that far away from the EMA, just take it, because you're going to at least come back to the EMA right there. And you can see it still reacting to that blue channel. If you back way on out, that pretty much confirms it. There's your 2 touches, and that confirms it. And if you drag it down here, you can see back through here where the midline's been playing off of it too. So you get a chance to confirm it. But that turns out to be a pretty nice trade. You confirm this trend line here, but look at that channel working up. No break yet, nothing. Drops on down. Same thing here. You get a second entry short, but signal bar is not any good. And then there's that repeat pattern again. You're working up. You get a close outside, move to a new high. It fails. Just go short there. When you see that over and over and over, and it works every time, it's probably going to continue to do that. We drop down, you start going sideways. No trades here. Then it bounces. Here's that pattern again. Notice the little short-term channel working up. Let's color it just so it's easier to see. Close outside a new high. There it is again. Repeat pattern. Go short. And then it bounces again. And here coming at the midline, coming back, you'd figure, hey, we're probably going to work back to the main trend line, which we do, although it ends up spinning most of the time going sideways. And of course, there's one leg up there. Look for a measured leg. And that's to right here. And you can see that's about where we went. We tested it 3 times before. We actually got back. We didn't go much higher than that, but we got back to the trend line before it turned down again. And that's what you would expect to happen. Be careful going short too early when you're starting to approach those trend lines. Unless you got another key entry, unless you like this one working down, be careful trying to go short right in here, because even though this one probably would have worked on this trout, you just never know. And this is after 2 o'clock anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But anyway, that's what I saw today, and believe it or not, we got that done in 20 minutes. I like to keep these to 20 minutes or less if I can. Back out just to give you another look at it. There it is. 2 tiers channel all downhill. You probably wouldn't find this blue channel till late morning, close to noontime. It didn't get confirmed really till right around lunchtime. So it probably didn't help you. You probably had to trade the shorter term stuff in there early on just to be sure you were reading it properly. And that's what you need to do. A lot of times people will come back to me like after this and they'll say, what about this big channel? And I mean, this is not valid, but they'll have a big channel, something like this, you know, and prices just never really play off either side, but maybe once. And sure, it's probably valid, but it doesn't help you. The key is you got to narrow down in a little further to find the trades. So just keep that in mind. And just because I don't put a bigger pattern on there doesn't mean that it's not valid. I don't think there is one today. It would be the blue one today. And you could just about leave it off. You don't really need it. You could trade all of this based on what you see right here, except for maybe this trade right here. Otherwise, you don't even need the big blue one. Trade this shorter term stuff. And so that's what I mean. If somebody will come in and say, I always try to put these on there, but somebody will come in and throw this one out and say, well, what about this channel? Why didn't you have it on there? But it may not have come into play. And so, yeah, it doesn't mean it's not right, but it's not helping you. So I may leave it off. I hope that's clear. But usually I'll try to put it on there if I see it, if it's clear, and especially if it brings a trade or two in, like this one right in here. So this was the one that may not have helped you on. But anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. Tomorrow's Thursday. That'll wrap up our week. No chart lessons on Fridays these days. So hope you had a good trading day. I'll see you tomorrow. I'm done for today. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.